Hello, everyone. Yep, I'm back. It sure has been a while, hasn't it? But don't worry. Just because The Curse is Cute has ended, the audiobook series at least, so has the original series, both have ended. But anyway, just because both of them have ended doesn't mean that I'm done with this channel. I might still use this channel for doing audiobook versions of other translation stories. Maybe it could be ones that I made or ones that I requested, but hey. I might come back here every now and then to make an audiobook. Just saying. Anyway, today we have a story that I made recently. This story is called Pure Hatred. I'm just gonna give a warning. If you're not into transformation fanfiction, you should not listen to this. It also contains male to female TG, MC, or mind change, as well as transformations. So if you're not into either of those, then please don't listen to this. Also, this contains spoilers for the web animation Battle for Dream Island across all seasons. So you should not listen to this if A, you aren't a fan of the web series, or B, you don't want to get spoiled on the web series. With all that in mind, this story has a total word count of 3,102 words, which is my longest story I've ever made. And so, let's get into it. This is a story about someone named Carver. Carver was a creature called a fluff tart. A fluff tart is a cross between a wolf and a pop tart. He also had a huge pink and white tail, and he usually wore a green hoodie. Carver also liked many things, one of them being BFDI, which is an object show. Now, when it comes to object shows, there are many, many characters, a whole variety of them. Some only have arms, or only legs, some have a full set of limbs, some maybe none at all. Some have a gruff jock-like voice, and others have a soft and feminine, or even a vocoded voice. As for Carver, there were a lot that he liked. There was Lollipop, there was Puffball, Golf Ball, Teardrop, Ruler. Heck, he even liked Fanny, despite Fanny probably hating him if she knew about Carver's existence. However, with all the characters he liked, he also hated a few. There was Rocky, there was Coiny, there was Lai, but none of them came close to that one contestant BFDI that he had an undying hatred towards. Pencil. Carver hated Pencil. There are many things that he hated about her. She acted extremely rude in BFB1, she treated Book like crap after she debuted into Teapot, and she was even responsible for one having both 2 and Force powers. And his hate for Pencil only increased more after Teapot 21, Insectophobe's Nightmare 6. He couldn't believe that Match would forgive Pencil's actions, let alone the other members of Free Smart. After that, he only wanted the worst for her. He didn't want her to have a happy ending. He just wanted Pencil to suffer. Carver didn't want her to have friends. He wanted her to go back to the place that scarred her in the first place. The exit. I told you there would be spoilers in this. However, one day, things were about to get weird. After feeling extremely angry about how Match forgave her, he thought that he needed a break. So he went out to buy, well, whatever he could afford, I guess. The day was normal of him. He even went up to his local 7-Eleven to get a Slurpee. So, just a cherry for you, the server asked the fluff tart. Well, yeah, Carver responded as he paid for his drink and left. On his way back, however, he got lost. He didn't even know where he was or how he got there. Worse, rain started pouring down and it sounded like a storm was coming. Carver was about to find a bus shelter, however, to finish his Slurpee. But after that, he needed to get home somehow. That was the biggest problem. He couldn't remember his way back home. He ended up taking many wrong turns. Damn it! Damn it! Where even am I anymore? Worried Carver. Sorry, I meant the line was, where am I even going anymore? Worried Carver as he ended up trekking through a forest. However, soon he would just passed out on the floor, as if his brain just switched off somehow. Carver eventually awoke, but not in his house, or where he passed out. Instead, it took a while to get his bearings on his surroundings. Around him was a hotel, but not just any hotel. This was one he recognized. It was Two's hotel. Wait, why am I here? Carver wondered, as admittedly he was a bit curious about being in this universe. Well, this actually could be interesting, just as long as doesn't show up. If she does, then at least I'll finally have the chance to get back at her, Carver muttered, thinking that nobody heard him. He was wrong, however. Little did he know that someone did hear what he said, and she wasn't happy about it. Carver's fox ears poked up when he heard this being say, "Hey, you!" at him. Carver was a bit worried, but he turned around to see who it was. And boy oh boy, he was shocked to see that it was Match, Pencil's best friend. Did you did you just talk bad about my friend? Match asked intimidatingly. Carver didn't care, so he admitted it. Yes, obviously, I can't stand her, admitted Carver out loud. Match grew shocked by this. Wait, what's your name? Asked Match. It's Carver. Well, Carver, I can't believe you just talked smack about my best friend behind her back. I just can't stand it. Match grew frustrated at him, since she wanted him to take back whatever he said. But Carver wouldn't. Well, what are you gonna do about it? Carver smirked, thinking that he'd just be let off the hook with ease and he could just try to get back to his own universe. He started to walk off, but Match stopped him. Where do you think you're going? Match tried to intimidate him again. I think I know what needs to be done. Since you hate Pencil so much, I decided that it's time for you to experience being her. Ha ha! Match laughed, like she was some sort of evil villain. Carver's palm started to sweat with fear as Match took out something with the label Contestant Changer on it. Wait! Stop! I'll do anything! Carver protested, trying to get out of this place with his own life, as Match was already typing Pencil's name into the blaster. Carver was breathing frantically. Even though he was a part of the object show community, he didn't want to be a contestant, let alone his least favorite BFDI contestant. Match was steadying the blaster, as Carver was too scared to even move, just frozen in fear. Goodbye, Carver, Match remarked as she pulled the trigger, and Carver was blasted with a laser-like projectile. However, unlike the regular laser in the series, which just killed any contestant, this laser did something else entirely. First, Carver thought the laser did nothing. I mean, his hands were still the same that his until he felt them, and he didn't have any fur on them. Match! What the hell? Carver cried, shocked. Well, that's just how my friend looks, so I've got to make you look like her, if you're gonna be her, Match smirked, as Carver's arms and hands just became, well, I don't know what texture BFDI limbs have, so whatever the texture of those limbs are. Match, you can't do this, protested Carver, already upset and scared due to the recent changes, and if that weren't enough, he felt his big tail shrinking down. Good riddance to that thing. Us objects don't have those, Match smugly remarked, as his tail had completely vanished in front of his eyes, as if it was by magic or something. See, isn't that better? Asked Match. Are you insane? Carver screamed as he began shedding his yellow fur, coming out in clumps as his body began hardening in some sort of orange painted wood. Tears welled up in his eyes. Not just in sadness, but in rage. Carver had tried to plead her to stop, but as he did, he felt his voice crack, making his vocal cords rise some octaves, making Carver sound somewhat feminine. Oh no, now I sound like her, worried Carver, as something started to click in his mind after all. Well, if he was becoming Pencil, that would mean Carver was now female. Carver's fur was nearly done shedding, as her body also started swimming. Her anatomy also changed, making her vomit, slowly coughing up pencil shavings due to her now orange painted wooden-like body. Carver then felt a huge sting at her waist, while a pencil tip, with graphite at the end, formed there. Meanwhile, her legs experienced a similar fate to her arms, shedding in her black fur there and becoming like the limbs of any object or character. Match was just watching in pure excitement. So excited that she even decided to take Carver's crown and throw it on the floor, breaking it. As Carver watched in tears, she felt her ears fold back into her body. However, she could still hear. Meanwhile, a smooth pink eraser formed on the top of her now slimmer head, and a light piece of metal formed around it, holding that said eraser in place. Why would you do this to me? Carver shouted. Already told you why. You're going to know what it's like to be Pencil since I can't stand you hating her, and because I miss having Pence around, Match explained. Carver was still mad. He was about to attack Match, but she was stopped as she clenched her head, while she felt a splitting headache. However, this pain wasn't physical, but rather mental. Come on, Carver, fight it. Just because you look like Pencil, sound like Pencil, and just because you're a girl like Pencil, doesn't mean you're Pencil. She tried to fight it, but was to no avail. Well, Carver's memories were were already feeling fuzzy and becoming more unrecognizable by the second. Okay, Carvel, just think for a second. Who are your friends again? Oh yeah, there's... I don't remember. I can't remember. Why? Carver was thinking, but at the same time he was losing memories of her friends. But it was more than just that. It was anything that happened before her transformation. She couldn't even remember being male or being a fluff tart. Wait, I think I remember, Carvel admitted. No, I'm not Pencil! I'm not Pencil! Carvel shouted, attempting one last time to fight off the mental changes. However, Match had different intentions. Calm down, Pencil. You're probably just going crazy. I mean, think about it. You know me, right? And you know who your friends are, right? Think for a second about who they are. That will help jog your memory about them, Match advised. And because Carvel couldn't remember anything about her past life, she started to remember her friends. Her quote-unquote real friends. First, there was Bubble. Fragile, had some kind of accent where she regularly pronounces oi in place of a or o. She even had her own recovery center for some time. And she loved the oil cake, even if it made her turn metal. And even if Bubble sometimes got on her nerves, she missed her. Second, there was Ruby, who she became friends with 2 years after the first season started. Even though she was acting weird at first because she thought that she wouldn't be friends with Pencil if Bubble came back. However, she still knew so much about her, like how she loves sugar and eats more of it in a month than every other BFDI contestant combined, and that she has 35 sisters that all went to gem school, unlike Ruby herself. And then there was Match, her best friend. Her and Match had a strong bond. Even though their relationship could be leaned towards Match's side, she still cared about her the most. Match knew when she needed help. Match was like her shoulder to cry on. Together, they were peas in a pod. They were BFFs. Also, she remembered playing a spongy hitting game that her and Match dubbed Spongy Cake. However, she also remembered that there was one time where it caused a fire. She even remembered being in an alliance. Wait, scratch that. She wasn't just in the alliance, she was the self-appointed leader. And even installing a whole membership tier system, letting alternates like Book, who's a dictionary, a travel guide, a historical textbook, and a whole lot of other kinds of book, or Ice Cube, who had a beautiful face when she stuck out her tongue and stood her head, which contestants found so beautiful it gave to new teammates, even if they wanted her girl click into her lines as someone like Matcha Ruby was eliminated. She also started to remember this fun jingle she made up. It always involves her encouraging someone to do something while saying yeah 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 and holding up signs. It could be if she wants some monster to let Match out of their mouth, or for David to close his eyes during a staring contest, or for a team to saw her, recover her, and continue on, or for hungry customers to buy ice cream for them, or for the voters to help her rejoin her debut. Next, she remembered competing, various times. First, she remembered competing in BFDI, where she was on the squishy cherries, with Match and Bubble, before making it to the merge, and missing Match deeply after she got eliminated after being in the bottom four, due to Match herself finding a maroon ball. She even got so far without getting a single vote against her. It was only until the 17th episode, where she got 38 votes, including one from a user named English Cream Cakes. And later on, she was put up for elimination and even eliminated, despite her winning the contest. The scoreboard could only hold two-digit numbers. Then she competed in BFDIA and befriended Ruby. After a match was flung, she used the elimination prevention plan to keep her in, at least for the next challenge. Speaking of, after Match's failed elimination, she, along with Match, Ruby, Book, and Icy, formed a team named Free Smart. After all, they formed this team to be free from Gothall's stern rules of loyalty, and according to Match, they were all super smart. Match was re-eliminated, however, when they won. But hey, they still got to be together during a very long challenge. Despite Match's elimination, Free Smart still stayed strong for a long time, even when Fiery and Gelatin tried to get the Yoyolite that Ruby dropped. The former was eliminated at the next cake at stake, and the latter switched back to Team No Name before getting eliminated himself. Carcel was doing so well. However, her alliance was slowly getting eliminated. First Icy, then Ruby, and eventually herself, losing in her best season. Then there was the third season she competed in, and it was where things started to go downhill. Carcel remembered being on a team called Ions, which had two-thirds of Free Smart, along with Flower, Snowball, Lightning, and Fanny. She remembered demoting Bubble to a member, which was the start of her regrets. And then there was Fanny. She hated Fanny, her bringing down her mood, leading her to use Lightning to zap Fanny, being in the bottom two with her, and being the first boot, and being sent to the exit for 6 years. 6 years. That was enough to scar Cancel. Even after trying to escape with the other exiters, including Match, her BFF, even after she joined, she tried to reconcile, but ended up pushing everyone away, even her former friends. Buck and Ice Cube, they started to hate her. She even became more competitive, leading her to be more reckless. Anything just to avoid going back to the exit. In fact, her reckless actions nearly caused her to end the entire world, all because she didn't want to face being up for elimination. The final straw for Pencil, however, was when Book refused to join our alliance and just shouted, "I hate you!" at her. And now, all of those memories became natural for Sensel. As she got out of that trance and the mental changes put her into. Remember her name, her friends, her experiences, her past, her actions, everything. As stated before, she now knew her real name. She was Pencil. former leader of Free Smart, contestant on Cloudy A. And that's when her head had stopped hurting, because Carver wasn't Carver anymore. Pencil had completely written who Carver once was. Match then asked her, "What do you think about me now?" to try see if she remembered. Match. Yes. What is it, Pence? Match looked in joy, as if it had worked. Her friend is finally there. Pencil had took no time to finally see Match. After everyone she had pushed away, she finally saw Match again, and she hugged Match. This meant more to her, even if she spent more time away from Ruby or Bubble, because she felt like she needed Match with her. I miss you, Pencil cried, as tears of joy welled up in her eyes. "Aw, I'm so happy to see you back," Match replied, caringly. "You don't know how much I missed you, Match," Pencil sniffed, as she finally felt a feeling of warmth and reunion. Ah! Carver woke up in a shock, breathless. "I'm not Pencil!" Carver shouted. First, he looked around. He wasn't in Two's hotel. He looked at the clock. It was 7 a.m. in the morning. Okay, I'm in my house, and I don't sound like Pencil, but I still gotta check to make sure I'm not her. He looked behind him to make sure he still had his tail, and sure enough, it was still there. He then went to his bathroom to look at his mirror, and sure enough, as he wagged his tail, he looked like his regular fluff-tart self. Wait! Phew! It was just a dream! Carver was so happy that all of these events that just unfolded were part of a nightmare. However, he was still stressed, and he needed someone just to give him some reassurance because of how scary the dream was for him. He sent a voicemail to one of his friends. Later on in the day, his friend Evan called over, and Carver told him all about the nightmare he had where he became Pencil. Whoa! That's crazy, bro. Don't worry. He'll be okay. I promise you, Evan reassured Carver before sharing a hug with him. Thanks, Evan, said Carver. Dude! Evan started to notice something. Your crown, it's not there. Evan pointed out something and Carver grew shocked. His crown! It was indeed gone! Oh no! Evan screamed. It may have not been a dream! Carver cried. However, then he saw his crown on the table next to his bed. Oh, never mind. Both of them were just happy to note that it wasn't a dream. It's just that I always forget that I put it next to my bedside table. Better take a note of it for next time, Evan suggested. Got it, Carver nodded. Note to self. Remember that my crown is on my bedside table. Carver was also wagging his tail in relief that it was just a dream. However, someone else was watching him from the outside, but nobody ordinary. It was Match. She was just standing outside, waiting for something to happen. I swear, slander Pence, and it will be the biggest regret of your entire life. And that's the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time when I make another audiobook of a TF story.